What's up, Taters? This is Tree from treeoflogic.com. So I was talking about this story this past Monday on the Treehouse News, and I was sharing with the Taters that what an awful way to go. You know, like I was hoping that these people survive as time goes on. It doesn't look like that. We are going to keep a positive mindset, but I thought this story was very fascinating, and because they're still searching for them. They haven't even found them. However, there is somewhat of good news. They have heard some banging every 30 minutes, and so they think they might have a general location, but we'll get to that part in a minute. I want to just basically update anyone who's not familiar with this. You should be, because it's been trending on Twitter. I think it's also something that's that's been spreading on mainstream media. But just in case, I'll just give you a quick rundown by reading this article that was published about, 2 days ago? Yeah. So 5 people were, a vessel disappears during dive to the Titanic wreck site. Now, this is something I was telling my teachers, like, why risk your life to see the Titanic that close up in a little tiny submarine? And I cannot relate to that. Plus, how much money they had to spend to do this. Also, everybody's rich. So you have, from my understanding, 2 billionaires and the rest of them are millionaires, or maybe all of them are billionaires. I'm not sure, but I know it costs a big six figures in order to go down there. So it's 5 people, and we'll go over the exact identity of the 5 later on. 5 people were in the submersible, which lost contact with a surface vessel on Sunday morning. The Coast Guard said a search and rescue mission is underway in the North Atlantic. So a submersible craft carrying 5 people in the area of the Titanic wreck in the North Atlantic has been missing since Sunday, setting off a search and rescue operation by the U.S. Coast Guard. The Coast Guard confirmed Monday that it was searching for the vessel after the Canadian research ship MV Polar Prince lost contact with the submersible during a dive about 900 miles east of Cape Cod, Massachusetts on Sunday morning. Jeez Louise. This is such an awful way. I don't know. This really bothers me the most about a story like this, because I'm like, dude, like, nothing is worth, no sight to see that close up is worth this. But let's go ahead and look at some of the footage that we have from 2 stories. And so this one is the one I'm going to play for you right now is the most recent one. Or is it this one? Let me see. I think, no. This is the most recent one. And then we have this one right here, which goes into other information that's not available in this video right here.
For that mini sub, which vanished on a voyage to the Titanic. A Canadian plane equipped with sonar buoys reportedly picked up some banging noises, but nothing confirmed yet.
The 5 people aboard are running out of time and oxygen, but an extensive air and sea search has thus far failed to locate the sub. Here is a look at the last photo taken of the sub before it slipped beneath the waves. The possibly crippled craft could run out of oxygen as soon as tomorrow. Even if it does resurface somewhere, there's no way for the 5 inside to get out on their own.
Our Samantha Cortese is here in studio tracking late developments.
So if they don't find them by tomorrow, I just want to put this in perspective. If they don't find them by tomorrow, then this submarine is actually their casket, if you really want to look at it that way. Because this is just... the whole entire thing was controlled by a controller. like a game controller. I don't even think they was taking it seriously. And there was some complaints, which is you're going to see in the next video, where they were told not to go down there anyway because there were some safety concerns in reference to the little submarine.
Yeah, Sharon, Micah, this is just coming into the newsroom tonight. A Canadian plane picked up loud bangs on sonar in 30-minute increments. That's according to a memo sent to the Department of Homeland Security. And arriving tonight to that search site, a U.S. vessel that can recover large or bulky undersea objects, which is great news if those loud bangs materialize and everyone inside can be brought to terra firma. But were red flags ignored? Tonight, we're learning there were warning signs about the safety of the Titanic exploration vessel that's now missing in the Atlantic. The clock is ticking in the multinational race against time to find the passengers of the missing Titanic expedition sub alive. Tuesday, the U.S. Coast Guard said it's covered more than 10,000 square miles looking for the vessel carrying 5 people to the wreck of the Titanic. One of those 5 people, trip operator, OceanGate CEO, Stockton Rush.
He's the one who's, let me rewind it just a bit. He's the one who's actually built the thing. And he's also the one who's ignoring a lot of the safety concerns that have been filed against him. So, but he's also very fascinated with the Titanic. And I guess, I don't know. I'm just going to hope for the best. I'm not even going to say anything. We'll see what happens tomorrow. Because if they're not found by tomorrow, we can just automatically assume the worst.
Stockton Rush.
We're excited about doing it in a way that is safe and enjoyable and engage other people in that activity.
Rush was at the helm, piloting the now lost Titan. But now there are concerns over whether he and the company ignored pleas from concerned experts.
Look. All of this is controlled with this. Isn't this crazy?
Stop diving. Records from a 2018 lawsuit show a former OceanGate employee, David Lockridge, flagged potential safety problems with the hull. He claimed it was experimental. There wasn't enough testing, that hazardous, flammable materials were being used inside, and that the carbon fiber tube was at risk of imploding, especially on repeated use. Lockridge said he was fired for not sending manned trips to the Titanic without more testing, and he wasn't the only one concerned. The Marine Technology Society, a group of 60 manned underwater vehicle experts, told OceanGate in 2018 the sub did not meet industry standards. A year later, OceanGate posted it would conduct more testing to prove the hull could withstand the pressure of the deep Atlantic. It's unclear if they did, and we reached out to OceanGate for comment. If the sub is not imploded, what could have happened? Dr. David Guggenheim, a submarine pilot, explains one theory.
Entanglement is the biggest risk to a sub. It is possible that the sub made it to the bottom and somehow got entangled and perhaps moved sideways or in a way that its transducer, which sends sound waves to the surface, was damaged or perhaps at the wrong angle that disrupted communications.
Wow.
So many are hoping an entangled sub or one close to the surface is that noise the Canadian plane picked up on today. Something to watch for in the coming hours. Right now, the French are deploying a robot to help with this search, and the Coast Guard says...
Not the French! We don't need their help!
We are now approaching the 24-hour mark before the Titan loses oxygen. Sharon, Micah, back to you.
Okay, so that's the end of that one. And then we're going to play this one. This is the last one I have. So let's see. An entanglement. This is every time I hear that word entanglement, it's never associated to anything good.
Update on this desperate search, Gus.
As there's certainly a race against the clock, and the Coast Guard was asked this afternoon what would happen next if the sub is located. Just how realistic is a potential recovery?
The last images of the 21-foot Titan just as it began its dive on Sunday to the Titanic, a journey that's led to a multinational search and rescue mission.
This operation is our top priority.
U.S. and Canadian Coast Guard searching for an area the size of Connecticut for a vessel that's about the size of a city bus. Planes are above and sonar buoys are in the water, but so far there are no reports a craft able to dive deep enough to reach the ocean floor where the Titan may be lost is unseen.
You're talking about a search area that's 900 miles east of Cape Cod, 400 miles south of St. John's. So logistically speaking, it's hard to bring assets to bear. It takes time. It takes coordination.
5 people are on board the submersible going to explore the wreckage of the Titanic, a trip that can cost each passenger $250,000.
$250,000. I was talking with this with my chats, and I said, really, you're gonna pay that amount of money to go down to see the wreckage, see a lot of seaweed and coral reef and everything just growing, and seeing the Titanic decaying, when you can just see the stuff on YouTube? You can see the pictures as well as the videos from other submarines that were down there that just basically put a camera on it, and you can see that on Twitter, Facebook. Like I don't know, just to I understand that, you know, a lot of people who were the 5 that went down there. Well, one of them is a teenager, so you know he was the son of a billionaire. But I think when you have so much money, you get bored and you just want to do any and everything. And I think one of these guys also went into space, so he's an adrenaline junkie.
Among them, billionaire Hamish Harding, who once took a submersible to the Mariana Trench and flew off Jeff Bezos'...
Yeah, him. This one right here. Yeah, so he's just like, I'm going to just live life because I got all this money and everything. I really hope these guys are found alive. I really do. I really do.
Harding, who once took a submersible to the Mariana Trench and flew off Jeff Bezos' Blue Origin. He posted on Instagram about his upcoming Titanic adventure. Also on board, Pakistani businessman Shahzada Dawood and his 19-year-old son. The pilot of the vessel is reportedly Frenchman Paul-Henri Nargeolet, and the company that owns the Titan, OceanGate, now confirms its CEO, Stockton Rush, as the 5th passenger. Rush talked about people's fascination with Titanic last year with NBC's Seattle station, King 5.
We have a number of people who come with us, sometimes referred to as Titaniacs, people who have just been consumed by the Titanic.
The Titanic
what's wrong with, this is what I'm thinking. Like, I'm sitting here and I'm watching the top deck of the Titanic. This is good for me. Listen, I'm dry, you know, on land. I'm safe and I'm watching this. This is just as good as me being there as far as I'm concerned.
2.5 miles beneath the surface. The Coast Guard asked by NBC's Tom Costello what happens if the Titan is found that deep in the ocean.
Obviously, getting salvage equipment on scene is a top priority. I can't give you an exact timeline of when that's going to happen.
Now, the Coast Guard would not comment about reports. It took OceanGate 8 hours to report the missing sub, only saying the search and rescue began as soon as it was reported. At this point, they maintain the focus is on the search. Live in the newsroom, I'm Gus Rosendale.
8 hours, so they had
13 members of New York's
delay.
Air National Guard now on their way to search the Titanic wreckage more than 12,000 feet under the ocean. News 4's Greg Circle live in West Hampton Beach, where a rescue plane took off there today. So many folks watching this story, Greg.
Yeah,
and Natalie, we're told that plane departed Gabreski Airport here in West Hampton Beach around noon today. The elite rescue unit that's based here again being called on to try and make the seemingly impossible possible. This search and rescue mission from Long Island's Gabreski Airport began yesterday. 13 crew members from the New York Air National Guard's 106th Rescue Wing determined to find the missing submersible. 13 pairs of eyes were trained on the Atlantic below for about 4 hours, ready to move if the sub had surfaced. But the search was in vain. Captain Christopher Caldwell was the plane's pilot.
We did the best that we could for as long as we could, up until we lost daylight. And then after daylight, we went to an electronic search.
Today, another C-130 from this elite Air National Guard unit is back over the Atlantic, joining ships and rescue teams from the U.S. and Canada, all trying to locate that 5-person sub last seen Sunday as it embarked on a tour around the wreckage of the Titanic.
Our big concern is that it's entangled somewhere on that wreck. There's a lot of debris across that wreck.
Water rescue expert Butch Hendricks
So
says
it's a possibility they got so close that they could have had the cords, including the communication line, get entangled or damaged or worse, cut. I hope not. But I'm just sitting here. If you had the money, I just want to see who agrees with this going down after paying $250,000. $250,000. Which one of you would actually, if you had that type of money, would pay and actually do this and actually go down there and risk your life?
if the sub is entangled around Titanic, finding it as quickly as possible is a key to the rescue effort. But that, he says, won't be easy because the sub appears to have no technology to signal its location.
Wow.
There's no emergency deployed beacons.
Oh my God, you mean to tell me he was so concentrated on having a little game controller to make it look cute that you wouldn't have a beacon, to basically to send pulsing signals to the Coast Guard or to anybody who's looking for you if you get lost or stuck down there? Dad, all that money and no brains.
I can tell you where it is. There's no beacon or emergency transmitter on it itself. They can send out a series of signals that our military, Coast Guard, et cetera, in multiple countries could find it.
And so the frantic search goes on, with the sub's oxygen supply now at roughly 38 hours.
They are putting their effort behind this. They've got their manpower, and they are jointly saying, we're going to try and make this happen.
Now, even if the sub is found, Hendrick can't say if rescuers have the capability to bring it to the surface quickly and safely. Ooh. But right now, like everyone, he's simply hoping for a happy ending, just like so many that the 106th Rescue Wing has helped to write. We're live in West Hampton Beach. Greg Sergel.
I hope. About time you guys see this video, it will be the last day that they have to find that submarine, or it's just not likely that the 5 guys, the 5 males in that submarine will survive. So let's hope that they'll find it. Let's hope that they're able to get a lifeline out there so that, they can, I think that what they're going to need is more oxygen, but able to do that without, hurting anyone down there. I know it's a lot of pressure down there, so they have to be careful. This is so crazy, and I, if things turn out to be the worst for this, no other scientist or any type of, because this guy was, even though he was a billionaire, he actually was fascinated with creating this submarine, and I don't think they're gonna allow that to happen again. I just don't think so. I think they're gonna prevent this from happening again if it's turned out that now that this submarine is possibly down there with the Titanic as well, and it's just too dangerous to bring it up. It's just these adrenaline junkies, it's not worth it. But anyway, it could be me. I am doing a lot of projection because I do stay away from things like this. That's just not of my interest, but it could just be me. What about you? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video, and if you're new to my channel, feel free to subscribe, and I will see you on the next one. Later, taters.